then I've done and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's made everything worth it.
That's it.
Cool.
So when did you decide to become a teacher?
Yeah.
And what
well,
made you become a teacher?
I decided, of course, at the tender age of 20 or 19 or 20, when I was still in the Air Force, I thought that would really be cool. Actually, I always was attracted. I was always kind of a bookish, sort of schooly type of guy. I like classes. I always did well. One of those guys that, when I finished my homework, I went to the encyclopedias. It was before the internet, and just browsed encyclopedias, just because it was fun to do. And it was great though, because years later, it made me a killer at the game Trivial Pursuit. But yeah, we should. Trivial Pursuit is awesome. That was just an off-camera remark from a friendly colleague. Ask Mr. Evans about me and Trivial Pursuit, by the way. Anyway, yeah, I really liked school. I liked I went to my high school experience was very positive. It was an all-boys Catholic high school. It was really cool, actually. I really liked it. And I was in the concert band, the marching band, and music was my world. And yeah, had good times. And to this day, I get together twice a year with alumni. We hang out together. I thought to myself, when I was in Colorado, I was stationed there in the United States Air Force, and what a beautiful place. And I already made up my mind at 20. When I get out of the service, I'm going to go to the University of Colorado at Boulder. I'm going to meet some young, beautiful gal. I'm sure, I knew it was, and it was a beautiful place. And I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to go teach history in high school. But then, as I mentioned earlier, I had this sort of other change, this sort of spiritual thing that came on me, a major change in life. And as a result of that, that kind of drew me in a different direction. Not too dissimilar from teaching. And when I went into the ministry, I was still teaching. I was preaching every Sunday. I was teaching classes, counseling, working with youth group, working with adults. Not so much with little children. That's not my strength. I let other people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do good with little kids. But I kept that in the back of my mind. So run the tape forward 20 years, and I'm well set in the ministry. I could have stayed at the church, the parish that I was in Queens. It was a fine situation, but something caught my eye. There was this program called the New York City Teaching Fellows. I still wear their little free keychain.
Oh, cool.
And it was a competitive program it was advertised originally for career changers. And I thought, hey, if I'm ever going to teach, at least try it. It's like now or never. It's nice. 2006, 05, I was straight up here. I was a little upper middle aged in age here. I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I thought, oh, why not? I applied on internet, I applied online, see what happens. They all made a big thing about, it's not everybody who picked. They might pick 2 out of 10 at the most applicants or something like that. I didn't give much thought to it. Next thing you know, the time goes by, I got selected. And, after writing essays and doing tests, I had to do something about it, and I realized this is a big change. My daughter's just in 8th grade, got a mortgage. I'm set in my career, and I switch. It's like, wow. So I followed a dream that I had way back in my mind, teach high school. So I realized there was no openings for social study teachers, but there was plenty for ESL. I thought, well, shoot, I've done that before, voluntarily, and I'm into languages. So got in, got accepted. They stuck me in a school for a summer of 2006. They gave me training. I got my second master's degree in 2008, Master's of Education in TESOL, which is teaching English to speakers of other languages. And then I got to AUP that September of 06. I've been here ever since. I love it here, actually. This is my crib. This is my, forget about Boulder, Colorado, Forget about the mountains.
This is your place.
This is my place. I have never felt so at home like here. Does it mean it's a perfect place? Of course not. No place is. Has it got struggles and challenges? Of course. I love it here. I love the people I work with and the students I serve.
Well, you have been teaching since 2006, right?
Yeah, that's right. Full time.
So fast forward here, you're still teaching in the school.
Right.
And in my opinion, you're doing a great job at it. Nice
Well,
job, Mr.
thank
Stewart.
you.
Yeah.
Since I never taught you.
Yeah, I'm just
You
saying.
must have just heard. Man.
Yeah, just heard and seen. But yeah, so how are you involved in the community today?
Yeah, here locally, obviously not as much. I don't live in this community. I live up in Queens. Up in Queens, it's only 2 blocks away, but my part of Queens is about 4.5 miles by car from here, or 3 subways. And so I don't, when there's school functions and things that I've certainly supported, and I feel I'm a pretty good supporter of AUP. But in my own community, my wife and I have been involved in a few neighborhood things like graffiti cleanup. We belong to our house is part of a courtyard type of setup, and it's called the Roosevelt Court Association.
Named after your favorite president?
Yeah, named after my favorite president of long ago.
Yeah.
That's it. Before I found out he was an imperialist.
Yeah.
But no, that's okay. Hey, we're all human. And he was still an interesting fellow. Roosevelt Court Association is active in our community, checking on things like graffiti I mentioned, Crime Watch, stuff like the elderly people in our neighborhood will get together, like in our community sometimes, shovel snow off their steps and stuff like that. And at least when I was more active this way when I was a pastor, because I was right in that community, and I worked with the local city council member. I worked with the public community affairs officer from the police precinct, and got involved in that way in terms of acting locally. And then in a global scale, my wife and I we're committed to social justice in that broadest sense, and we make it a point to do things like buy fair trade coffee. You familiar with that?
Fair trade, no.
Fair trade.
Explain that to us, please.
Yeah. Fair trade coffee or tea or any other commodity. Fair trade clothing. Okay. Fair trade is when you're buying from a developing country on a basis that pays those people, the peoples that provide these goods and services, a fair and decent market wage for what you're getting. So rather than buy commercial coffee, chock full of nuts, whatever it is, or Folgers, whatever. I'll buy, for instance, a brand of coffee that's I particularly like, comes from a farm owned and operated by a noted Dominican American writer, Julia Alvarez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's called Café Tres Mariposas.
Café Tres Mariposas.
The 3 butterflies.
Yeah.
It's named after these heroines of
the Mariposas sisters.
The Dominican Republic. And it's produced on their farm. It's marketed in the States through Vermont Coffee. I know I'm not selling. And is it expensive? Yeah, it is. 12 ounces is going to cost me about, like, $15, $20.
Whoa.
No.
Yeah.
$10.
Okay.
It's going to be more expensive. But the point is that the people that work on her estate in the Dominican Republic are paid a higher wage than the people who sell their coffee to Folgers or Maxwell
like minimum wage.
For minimum or for nothing.
Or like no money
Secondly, her work also promotes literacy in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So she's a writer, and she promotes literacy projects. So I'll spend the extra if we have it doesn't mean I don't buy chock full of nuts, okay? I'll still
every once in a while.
But I will buy free trade. My wife likes to get fair trade clothing. She also likes the kind of offbeat stuff that's made in Latin America and in Africa. And it's just a great thing, and I think that in that small way, we're promoting sort of global justice in a larger scale. And that's what free trade.
So, out of all your great accomplishments, as we can hear, what advice would you give to the young people regarding civic engagement?
Oh yeah, you know what? Fight something I fight every day. Cynicism.
Cynicism.
Can you explain that?
Cynicism?
Yeah. What is cynicism?
Cynicism is sitting back there with your arms folded and saying, it won't work, it's been tried before, they're all crooks, why bother? And taking a view of life that just says it's not worth it, I'm just going to get what I can out of it and get myself comfortable, rich if I'm lucky,
So like being
and
cynical.
happy. And a cynical view of life is very destructive.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that from personal experience because I'm by nature cynical. I didn't share that before, but that is, that's the bad guy I gotta deal with, and realize that no, there's a bigger vision to life. From my perspective, that bigger vision is encompassed by, doesn't include, it's because you can't, God is not included by anything by definition.
Mm-hmm.
God includes everything, and that is the wider vision that I live for. So ultimately, why am I here? I believe because God placed me there. Who do I work for? The DOE? Yeah, I sort of work for them. But my true master is the God who brought me to this place to serve His children. That's what I'm about.
Well, thank you, Mr. Estella, for
Thank
your
you.
cooperation.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Very
And
interesting.
Pretty much
Very
all the stories you have to tell. You're a very interesting
Well,
person.
cool. Thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
So have a wonderful day,
Well,
Mr. Estella.
have a great day. Thank you,
so
ladies.
much.
You guys have been tremendous.
Okay. Wait. Bye.
Bye.